Sot shënohet përvjetori i 27 masakrës së Reçakut, një ngjarje që tronditi opinionin ndërkombëtar dhe u bë si pikëthese në historinë e Kosovës. Në këtë ditë kujtese kemi nderin ta kemi në një intervistë të posaçme ambasadorin William Walker, i cili ishte i pari që e bëri publik këtë krim dhe e solli atë në vëmendjen e botës. Me të do të flasim për kujtimet e asaj kohe, për mesazhin që mbartë sot Reçaku dhe për rëndësinë e ruajtjes së vërtet historike. Mr. Walker, thank you for being here. It's an honor for us.
For me, it's a pleasure. It's also an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
So, before the January 15, 1999, what did you know about the village of Ratchak and the situation there?
Before the 15th of January 1999, I had never heard of Ratchak. I knew nothing about the village, but I was soon to learn quite a bit about the village.
Mm-hmm. And what made you to decide to go there? What did you know?
Well, I was here on a peacekeeping mission, director of the head of mission of the Kosovo verification mission from the OSCE. I was in Macedonia that day, the 15th of January, and I returned late that night, and I was told by my British assistant, deputy, that there had been a battle out at a village called Ratchak, and that a number of, they were told, KLA fighters had been killed, and I just wanted to go to the site of a battle and see what had happened and how many had been killed, that sort of thing. So when I left for Ratchak that next morning, very early, with some of my staff and with a number of journalists, one or two. There were only a few international journalists here at the time. Kosovo was not a particularly interesting story worldwide, and I just went to see what had happened the night before.
And what was the urgency that you felt at that moment when you heard about Ratchak? What went through your mind in that moment?
I just felt that it was necessary for Kosovo verification mission, and I was the head of the verifiers. I wanted to get out and verify what I thought had happened, or what I saw had happened.
And what did you verify when you went there?
I verified that many more than a few Albanians had been killed. I verified that none of them appeared to be KLA fighters. They were, some of them were too young and some of them were too old. And it was obvious that the story we had been told the night before by the government, there was something wrong with it. There was something fishy.
Were you aware of the risks, or anything changed when you went there and you see things through your eyes?
Yeah. I found out we were told that 10 or 11 or 12 had been killed, and we saw more than 30, 40 bodies. None of them were in uniform. None of them looked like they were KLA. And we were told very quickly that they were the result of what had happened the night before, when Serb police and Serb military had come in and stormed the city, stormed the village. And it was not just what I saw, but I was told by some members of the KLA, some verifiers who had come in the night before, what they had seen, and what they told me was the actuality of the case. And so I changed my mind very quickly that there was something wrong with the government story.
Can you tell us about the emotions when you saw those bodies and the whole scene?
Well, I've been in other war zones and I've seen bodies, but as a human being, you can't see piles of bodies who had been killed by gunshot and blood, and the winter weather was horrible. There was a lot of snow and ice on the ground, and Ratchak back then was, a fairly, it was a regular country village. It didn't have beautiful streets or that sort of thing. So how did I feel? I felt what any normal human being would feel seeing bodies in those conditions.
But is that image something that stayed with you even today when we're talking about it?
Oh yes, I mean, when I see pictures of not only of Ratchak but of other massacres that took place here in Kosovo that did not get the sort of worldwide attention, you know, I just see pictures and they remind me very much of what I saw that morning.
You publicly stated that what you saw in Ratchak was a crime against humanity. Can you describe this with other words?
Well, in many wars I have heard about or seen or been present, you know, quite often there are things done by armies, by police, by government entities that certainly look like crimes against humanity. So I sort of know what a crime against humanity looks like. And what I saw that morning, the more I thought about it, the more I talked to witnesses, the more I talked to my verifiers, people from the mission, the more I was very certain I had seen a crime against humanity.
But what was the first scene that you saw, and what was your first words, your first reaction that day when you went for the first time?
Well, the first thing
if you remember it.
Yeah, no, the first thing I heard was a Canadian general who was head of my office in Prizren, and he had sent out some volunteers the night before and then that morning. So I heard the version from them that this did not look like a battle of the military against the KLA, but rather the military and the police coming into a village and taking away the unarmed men. Then we drove directly into the village, and there were a lot of villagers, the women, who were very upset, crying. And then we left the mosque and started to go and see the results of the killing, and we came across the first body. The head was removed.
The head was removed.
Yeah, and it was a very bad first sight of a body. But then we moved up the hill a bit, and I was told there were more bodies and more bodies, and it got worse and worse.
It got worse. I totally understand. Let's talk about the thing that you every year take the part in commemoration of the Ratchak massacre. What does it mean for you personally to be here? Even today when we're talking.
Well, I want to come back every time I can. I'm getting very old, and I worry about the travel, but I will try to come as long as I am physically able to come. When I first went to Ratchak in 2000, 2001, there were 15,000 people. None from the government, none from the embassies, including the American embassy. 15,000 people from that region had all come to the village. It was snowing, it was cold, it was horrible, but they all came, they walked mostly, and they were there to show that they thought what had happened at Ratchak was important. This was a year later. And so I come every year to show that I am very proud of Kosovo and the Kosovars who have understood that this was an event that did lead to the Kosovo today, of which I am so proud.
Do you think that people really, the world in general, really understood what really happened in Ratchak?
They understood, not really, but they understood the fact that there had been a massacre committed by the government in Belgrade.
That was your mission as well, to spread the truth so the world can really understand what happened. But I want to know.
That was only my mission. I had no other mission. I had no political mission. I had no, you know, when I came here, I was a neutral. I had no idea who was doing what to who. But Ratchak showed me pretty clearly who was doing the most damage to Kosovo. The reason I wrote the book, and it took me 25 years
that's what I wanted to ask about the book.
But when I went to the first celebration, not celebration, the first memorial service in 2001, I think.
Yeah.
And there were another 10 or 15,000 people, and I was asked to say something. And after expressing my sorrow for what had happened in Ratchak, I said, look, I am so impressed by what happened and also what happened afterwards that I really feel like I should write a book. And I really want to promise you that I'm going to write a book, and the name of the book is going to be Ratchak. Took me 25 years, and I must say I worked rather slowly, and I don't know if it's any good or not, but I wrote the book and published it a year ago.
I really have to read it.
You really have to read it.
It would be my pleasure to read it. But you said that there are so many things that motivated you to write the book, but why it took you so long, 25 years?
Because I'm a procrastinator. If I'm doing something and I think I should be doing something else, I will find a third thing to do. I can always find something else to do and say to myself, well, I'll do that tomorrow, I'll do that. Pretty soon I'm saying I'll do it next month, I'll do it next year, and you know.
And what was the reaction of the audience when they understood that you wrote a book about Ratchak and what happened?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. No, I haven't heard much in terms of reactions. You know, people say they are going to buy the book and read it, but then they don't give me much feedback as to whether it makes sense. The book...
Did you wait more from people after you wrote the book?
I'm sure I will hear that when I first thought about writing a book and calling it Ratchak, I thought it would be a short book and it would be all about Ratchak. But then different people said, Walker, where were you born? Where did you go to school? How did you become interested in Kosovo? How did you become interested in the Balkans? You were in Latin America most of your diplomatic career. And I said, yeah, you're right. And they said, well, people want to know how you came to Ratchak. What brought you to be physically in Ratchak on that day in 1999. So I started, so now the book is like about a third of it is about my youth, my parents, my schooling, the Foreign Service of the United States, and why I was so proud to be a representative of America.
And when we're talking about the book, you said that you didn't take a lot of feedbacks from people, but what did the government or institution in Kosovo do about that book?
They were very supportive.
They were supportive.
They were supportive.
That's important.
I met the Prime Minister, Albin Kurti, in Washington, I don't know, 3 years ago. And every time I came to Kosovo or in the diaspora in the United States, people were always asking me, and Prime Minister Kurti asked me, Walker, where is this book you've been talking about for 23 years? And I said, well, you know, and he said, look, I don't like to put words in the Prime Minister's mouth, but he said, look, this is important for us. We want the world to know why you said what you said and what effect you think it has had. And he said, you know, if anything the government can do to help you, please let us know. And the government was supportive, and you know, and that has been the reaction of all the Kosovars that I've met here and in the world. You know, when is this book coming out? We want to know what happened. And so I finally settled down and finished it.
So the Prime Minister asked about the book, he was interested and was very supportive.
Much so. Very much
but
so.
How is your relationship beside the book with the Prime Minister, Albin Kurti?
Oh, we've had a, you know, I met him in the year 1999 when he was with Adam Damaci. And I only saw him a few times over the years, but we met as two men who had met before. And when he became involved in politics with Vet Vendosia, I encouraged Vet Vendosia to become a party and to, you know, if they thought they could do well in elections, they should do it. And that's not because I became a Vet Vendosia supporter, but I wanted this country to have parties that represented the people. And obviously Vet Vendosia back in 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago showed that it had a lot of popular support, even though the American embassy did not talk to Vet Vendosia or to Albin Kurti.
Yes.
So I have tried to say I'm in favor of political parties that think they can convince people to vote for them. I find Albin Kurti very well educated. He knows the world. He knows Kosovo.
Do you think he's the right person?
I'm not saying he's the only person. There are other people who I'm sure could do a good job as prime minister. But as far as what he's done as prime minister to date, I have not seen many things that I disagree with him on. But I happen to think Kosovo is doing very well democratically. And if Vet Vendosia can gain 50% of the votes in an election, as they just did, someone must be in favor of them. And that for me is fine.
Okay. It's nice to hear your thoughts about politics as well, because everything is related, so...
I have opinions on everything, but especially politics, because...
Yeah, can we ask?
Sure, of course.
Perfect. We want to know also your relationship with the president, with Vjosa Osmani.
I don't know her as well as I know Albin Kurti. I first met her when she was running for office back in the election in which she ended up becoming president. And the first time I remember talking to her, she called me to say there's a story in the press here that I, candidate for the president or for whatever, that I have cut off funding to you. You had a contract with the Thaçi government.
Yes.
And she said there was a story in the papers today that I have cut that contract.
Yeah.
She said, I want you to know that that is not true. We want your support if I become elected to anything.
In media, it was like Vjosa Osmani decided to cut that contract with you.
She told me that was not true. That you know, she said she had told the press there had been a misinterpretation of something she had said. That she had told the press that was a contract with the old government.
Yes.
That she would, you know, want to work with me. That she would want me to do what I could to help Kosovo. And that you know, as soon as she was either elected or not elected, she wanted to meet me. And so I've met her a number of times, especially when I come here. I go to see her as president. And, you know, we have a good relationship.
So you mentioned also Thaçi.
Thaçi.
Yeah, you worked with him. How was that time? How do you remember
well,
that time?
I didn't meet him.
In a person?
I didn't meet him in the KLA, obviously. He was up in the hills someplace. I didn't meet him immediately after the war. I was coming over every once in a while, especially January 15th, and then he got into politics, and then he got in, and the next thing I knew, he was president, prime minister, and up until fairly recently, maybe 10 years ago, I was very critical of Hashim Thaçi and the government here.
Why?
I heard stories of, you know, corruption. I heard, not against him, but against the government, against some of the ministries. I thought there should have been much more reaching out to other parties, other politicians. I was critical. I thought too much was being given to the EU and to the United States demands for different things. Anyway, I was very critical. Like coming here 10 years ago, he explained to me that he did not resent my criticisms of him and his government, that he understood that I was trying to make things better for Kosovo. And so he understood if I said he was doing something wrong, it was because I thought he was doing something wrong. So we have become better friends since then.
Okay.
And then when he was taken to when he volunteered to go to The Hague, when he was told there was a indictment
you see that
against
as
him.
Volunteering, because
He volunteered.
Yeah.
He stood up and said, okay, if you think I've done something wrong, I'm coming
going there.
And now that was 6-7 years ago. It's a horrible miscarriage of justice. I really believe it's a serious miscarriage of justice by a court that I would have admired. You know, a court put together by the European Union and by the United States, and they are doing something that I think has been a horrible, horrible miscarriage of justice against 3 men who stood up and said, we're coming to The Hague, especially in contrast to others in Serbia who I believe are much more guilty of doing bad things during the war and after the war than these gentlemen.
Yes.
And yet the president of Serbia is still the president of Serbia, and he was in the direct chain of command from Milosevic down, and did then lie and continues to lie about Ratchak and about other things I know. I just find that what's happening in The Hague is a horrible miscarriage of justice. I haven't read the testimony by General Clark or by some of the others who've been defense witnesses. I thought I was going to be a defense witness. Apparently that's not happening.
Have you been personally invited?
I've been told by some of the lawyers on the defense that I would be called as a witness, but apparently the defense has rested its case, I think. I'm not so clear. I would have liked to go and tell the court what the circumstances were in Kosovo when the war ended and within the first weeks, months, and year, when the refugees came back and found their houses destroyed, their families killed, or their women folk raped, that sort of thing.
And how do you think this process is going to end?
The process has started 10 years ago with investigations, and then the prisoners have been detained for 5 years or whatever. That's a very long process in which a lot of prosecutors, lawyers, judges in The Hague, how are they going to accept a verdict of not guilty after 10 years?
It's a long time.
Yeah, and you know, some of the lawyers have enjoyed living in The Hague. Some have enjoyed being lawyers for the International War Crimes Tribunal. I hope they can judge the evidence fairly and without prejudice, even after 10 years of working on it. If I had worked for 10 years on a case to prove someone was guilty, I would be very embarrassed if they were declared innocent. I just hope justice prevails.
And what do you think? Did the government of Kosovo did enough for this process for Hashim Thaçi and the others?
I assume they have.
What do you think they did?
I don't know.
About this
I don't know the details of what the government has done.
And finally, Mr. Walker, what message would you like to send to the families of the victims of Reçakun and the younger generation here in Kosovo?
Okay, let me do that in two parts.
Okay.
To the villagers of Ratchak, I told them 27 years ago what Ratchak and the village means to me, and what I think Ratchak and the village means to what has happened here in Kosovo in the last 27 years. Ratchak obviously means a great deal to me. And the villagers, the people who, the families that suffered. First part of your question. Second part of your question, when I visit families here with kids, I'm always impressed with the fact that most of the kids have heard about Ratchak. They don't know the details, but they've heard about it. In the diaspora, same thing. Younger generation have heard about it. But we're now talking about a third of the population, almost a half of the population, who are under 25, who they don't remember what Kosovo was like under Serbia. They don't remember the terrible things that happened. How could they? They weren't even born.
Yes.
They can hear it from their families. They can hear it.
But they did not experience that.
It's not a personal thing with the kid. I mean, the kid is worried about football or worried about music or whatever kids around the world are interested in.
But this history should never be forgotten. That's
it should
for
never
sure.
be forgotten. I'm told that, you know, in some of the schools here, that there's not much discussion about the war and what happened in 1999 and why it happened, how bad things were for young Albanian kids before 1999. You know, when I see groups of young kids here, they're all smiling, they're all playing, they're all having fun, they're getting a good education. 27 years ago, that was not what was happening to young kids. So at times I am impressed with the fact that young kids I meet say, oh, a little girl handed me a note last year at Ratchak saying, you know, thank you, Mr. Ambassador. If you had not done, no, I can't remember the words, but if you had not done what you did, my parents would not be alive and I would not be here.
Oh, that's so cute.
No, and it was beautifully done. A little girl of, I think she was 11 or something like that. So there are young people who are sort of aware, but they can never be aware of how bad it really was here to be a young Albanian child in a province of Serbia. But I have great hope for the young people of Kosovo. I really do. I really do. They're amazing. In the diaspora, little kids all speak Albanian.
And when we're talking about Albanian, do you know any words in Albanian?
Three or four. Melgita, Palamanderi.
Okay.
Nelly, what's the word for wife?
Please, Nelly, help Mr. Walker.
I'm sorry? Yeah, the word for wife.
Gruja.
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 Because gruja is a word in Spanish, but it means something totally different.
Okay.
It means tow truck.
Oh.
So the two words are equal in meaning.
So Gruja told you the word Gruja.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that, I know three or four others.
Okay.
Mir, I like the word mir. You can throw it at anything. Anyway.
And I hope everything will be mir, Mr.
I hope
Walker,
everything
here
will be
in Kosovo.
mir, shum.
Shum faleminderit.
Yeah,
Very thankful for you being here in
pleasure.
Kosovo Live. It was a pleasure and a honor.
My
and I hope
pleasure.
to see you again.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.